The departure from Kuala Lumpur was entirely routine. The weather was clear, the systems were normal, and as the Boeing 777 leveled off into the night sky, the cockpit checked in with air traffic control for a final sign-off. Good night, Malaysian 370. But at exactly 1:21 a.m. local time, as the aircraft crossed waypoint Igari into Vietnamese airspace, its transponders went dark. The plane's identification, altitude, and location data simply ceased to exist on civilian radar screens. Ground controllers assumed a catastrophic mid-air breakup at that exact coordinate, but military radar later revealed the aircraft remained entirely intact. Instead of falling, the plane executed a sharp, deliberate left turn, banking back over the Malaysian peninsula. After completing the turn, the aircraft leveled out on a constant new heading, speeding out over the Malacca Strait in total radio silence. A 300-ton machine, carrying 239 people, successfully severed its ties to the modern tracking grid and slipped into the dark. Even with the primary communication systems disabled, an independent system called the Satellite Data Unit kept running in the background. Once an hour, it sent a brief automated handshake to an Inmarsat communication satellite. These digital pings contain no GPS coordinates. However, by calculating the exact time it takes for the signal to travel from the plane to the satellite and back, investigators can measure the distance between the 2 points. This map shows the result of those calculations. The colored rings represent 7 distinct handshakes. The aircraft had to be located somewhere along the perimeter of these massive circles at the exact moment each signal was received. The 7th and final transmission, tracked at 8:19 a.m., placed the aircraft over a desolate, freezing, and deeply remote stretch of the southern Indian Ocean. The disaster did not end at waypoint Igari. The aircraft flew for another 6 hours, carrying its passengers thousands of miles away from any possibility of rescue. While satellite technicians analyzed the arcs, the FBI focused on the flight crew, eventually searching Captain Zahari Shah's home and his extensive multi-monitor flight simulator. Deep within the hard drive, cyber investigators managed to recover a recently deleted data file. The recovered file contained 7 manually programmed waypoints. Together, they plotted a simulated flight path from Kuala Lumpur, down the Strait of Malacca, and straight into the emptiness of the southern Indian Ocean. The captain had flown this exact virtual route just weeks before the actual disappearance, fueling intense speculation that the plane's course was entirely deliberate. It suggests a highly respected, veteran aviator meticulously rehearsed the digital mechanics of making his own aircraft vanish. But the telemetry at the 7th arc complicates that theory. Flight dynamics modeling indicates that as the plane crossed this final ring, it completely exhausted its fuel supply. The right engine flamed out first, followed shortly by the left. As the main electrical buses lost power, the auxiliary power unit booted up, generating just enough electricity to fire off one last partial 8-second handshake to the satellite. Embedded within the frequency offset of those final 8 seconds is raw data showing the aircraft's vertical acceleration. This chart visualizes that descent. The aircraft was not gliding, it was plummeting toward the water at rates exceeding 25,000 feet per minute. Aviation engineers identify this trajectory as a phugoid motion, a chaotic, undulating freefall that occurs when an aircraft has lost engine power and no one is at the controls to stabilize it. The deleted simulator waypoints point toward a calculated plan, but the descent data at the 7th arc captures a lifeless ghost ship tumbling violently out of the sky. Years later, the ocean currents began depositing physical evidence onto the beaches of East Africa and Madagascar. Searchers recovered 27 pieces of debris, including a flaperon and an outboard flap from the wings. Metallurgical analysis of the fracture patterns on these specific components revealed they were in a fully retracted position when they hit the water. Pilots extend the flaps to slow down for a controlled water landing. Because the flaps were retracted, the physical evidence strictly rules out a ditching attempt, confirming a catastrophic high-speed impact with the sea. International recovery teams deployed submersibles to map 120,000 square kilometers of deep, rugged ocean floor. They found nothing. We are left with 2 fractured halves of a story, a perfectly calculated flight path locked inside a home computer, and the physical telemetry of a plane tearing itself apart without a pilot. Despite all our modern technology, the gap between these pieces of evidence remains unbridged. The definitive answer to aviation's greatest mystery rests with the 239 souls buried forever in the abyss.